So today's shoot, I wanted to test the StellaPro Reflex S even more with the, the upgraded battery. I'm not sure like why I don't see a bunch of people using these on YouTube more. Like, when they first came out, there was, a lot of YouTube videos, not as many as most companies, but, there was a decent amount. And, it had some quirks, like I said in my first video, but the upgrades they did to this are really pretty damn good. Now I use the regular, I think this is the medium Fresnel with this shoot. I used the dome, and this you have to purchase separately. It's a little pricey, but it is what it is because, it's a smaller company. They do low runs. They can't get better pricing than, what they're offering, because it's lower runs. But I use strobe and constant light. Now I started off this shoot with a regular strobe of the A2 because I just wanted to go into it from that and see the power changer, like the changes that I would have to make on the camera to make up for the lower light. And, the way I was shooting, I really didn't have to worry about it. But this thing put out enough light for me to use strobe. And at the end, obviously when I go to constant light on this, it was full power, the 9,000 lumens that this puts out. So I had to, raise, or I lowered the aperture, open the aperture up a little bit more. But I'm really impressed with this so far. Like I'm enjoying it, and I'm enjoying the light that I'm getting from it. Now, the only quirk I had was I left this unit plugged in the other day, and I thought I shut off this light. It wasn't shining, if that's, makes sense, but it was off. But I don't know if I shut the rear off, like completely off. The battery drained. So, anymore, I'm just going to pull the plug on the battery or the light to make sure that, the no power is going anywhere. So that was the only quirk that I saw, and it could be something I did, or, maybe I left the unit on and it just drained the battery. But other than that, that's the only issue I've had with it so far. The color balance is good. It's working. It doesn't miss a flash. When you push it, it works every single time with the Pro Photo and the Godox. I did play with it with the Godox remote. It worked, perfectly. No, it doesn't have TTL, and it's just a bare bones straight light, but one that just keeps going and going and going, which I really love. I'm not worried about overheating. I do get overheating issues with Pro Photo once in a while, the smaller ones, not with the big, commercial lights, but with the smaller, like the A2 and the A10, yeah, you get overheating. It's just part of the game. But with this one, no overheating, constant flashing, it just works. So this next shoot, my whole purpose for this next shoot was to play with this more and to test it more. So I hope you enjoy the shoot. If you have any questions, leave them below. They're still offering that 20% off at the link I'm going to leave below, which is a great deal for this light. Believe me, before I was just like, I liked the light, but it wasn't for everybody. Now I can honestly say, I threw this in an umbrella and I'm getting beautiful light out of it. And to be able to throw on the constant light and look at it and then turn it off and go into the strobe with, pretty much the same light patterns. This is a great starting point for somebody. I know it's a little pricey, but even at the price, with the 20% off, it's worth the money to learn lighting. It really is. And to use it past that point. I'm not saying this is only good for learning how to use lights. I'm saying this is a great little unit that's going to work for you. Anyway, here's the shoot. I'll explain things as I go. Thanks for watching as always, and have a great day. I wanted to start the shoot off with the normal strobe. I'm just using an A2 in that Octa click box with a grid on it. And I just wanted to show you the photos, with this, and then go into the straight LED to give you an idea of, what changes for me. Now this is a mixed light, so I'm getting window light and light from the strobe. So you're going to see some color shifts on the backdrop every once in a while because, I turn down the strobe a little bit, which will bring in more window light, which will bring in that more blue cast every once in a while. I'm kind of surprised that more companies aren't putting out the correction filters for strobes for these tinted windows. Since we switched over to LEDs instead of the ambient light, it was just, before you can throw one filter on when you go into an event or into a location and it covered it. But now with these windows and the tint that they put on them, the color shifts you get are just, that is the most annoying thing in the world to me. I would move out of this studio because of this window light alone. If I could at this point. I hate the window tint that much. Anyway, the photos are just nice. I'm not using a lot of flash. I'm just trying to fill in, to a point. And here you can see the color shift just a touch on the backdrop, but you'll see it now and then. And it does take some time to fix if it's a heavy color shift, which drives me crazy because I don't want to do post-processing. I want to do as little as possible. And I wanted to show you the connection. So when you connect to the Leica camera, you'll see this little thing pop up down the bottom, new photo shot. If you tap that, it'll automatically set you up into tethered view, and each shot you take after that, it'll pop back up. So you Leica M11 users that, didn't know how to use that, that's how it's done. Once you connect the camera, you take that next shot, just tap that little button as soon as you take a picture, and it'll automatically start rolling through. Now, she liked it because she gets to see the images, but I'm going to shut it off because every 3 seconds she was looking at that screen. But I just wanted to give you an idea of what it was and how it works. And for you as the photographer, turning that screen towards you, much better than turning it towards the model, really helps. Anyway, so I'm just finishing up with the strobe here, and then I'm going to switch over to that LED. I had the rotolights, and I'm just going to say them because I was stoked over the next version and thinking, oh, these are going to be great. They finally upped the power, but once I got them again, connection, strobes, like I used ProPhoto and I used Godox too. I just couldn't get these things to flash all the time, and the power was so subpar. Now, the first time I used the Reflex, I just didn't see a power boost in the strobe on the first version. And maybe it was just because it was such low power from 6,000 to 12,000. Now, these things with this new battery are starting out at 9,000 constant light and 18,000 strobe. And I absolutely positively noticed a difference on that. It's a little bit warmer light, as you can see, which can be adjusted for, but I just wanted to show you what this looks like. Here is without the strobe at all, without the LED flashing, and that's with. So there's a decent amount of light coming out of this thing, and that was with that diffuser dome on it. Now I'm going to put the umbrella on, and I'm going to use that Fresnel lens. This is just the medium Fresnel to boost up that power. That adds a lot of power to this light, and it gives a nice soft light. That's just one umbrella and that little LED. It works well. And you saw the before, without the flash and with the flash. No, it's not as powerful as a strobe. No, you can't do TTL with it. But, being able to go from strobe to, constant light like I'm doing here, that's everything. I love the way it transitions, and I love that we're getting 9,000 lumens out of this little tiny flash or LED, hybrid, whatever you want to call it. But I did shoot, Fresnel with her and so forth. I'm not including that with this, but it just works now. And I don't miss a flash. Before, it was so quirky and so hit and miss with the remotes, both Godox and ProPhoto. I just hated it. So I'm going to take you to a dark hallway now to get rid of that natural light, just to show you what the power looks like in this type situation. It just works for me now. Before it didn't, now it does. So yeah, I can actually recommend this thing. You see how it lights it up, and that's 9,000 lumens. That's a lot of freaking light. And I'm using the, constant light. I didn't use the flash out here, just because it was a dark area, and, the 9,000 worked for me just fine. By the way, I was at ISO 200, 1/80th of a second at f2.8 to 3.5.